On this episode of the Resilient Advisor podcast, I interview Bill Cates. Bill is an expert at teaching financial advisors how to build systems that help generate referrals. He has over 25 years of experience in the space, and I think you will find this short 20-minute interview insightful, and you'll find some actionable takeaways that you can start implementing in your practice today. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Resilient Advisor podcast. My name is Jay Coulter, and joining me today is Bill Cates. Bill is widely recognized as one of the foremost experts in the art and science of acquiring new clients through referrals and personal introductions. He is the president of Referral Coach International. He is a best-selling author, and his third book, Beyond Referrals, lays out the steps to converting referrals to what he calls engaged introductions and ultimately, of course, new clients. Bill, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, Jay. Well, thanks for having me.
So one of the most common questions I receive from financial advisors during coaching engagements is, hey, Jay, how can we really ramp up referrals? So that's why I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. In the 2 years I've done this, we haven't had anybody on to talk about this process. And in your book, Beyond Referrals, I know, right? In your book, Beyond Referrals, you get very granular with it. But that's your third book on the subject. You also published Get More Referrals Now and Don't Keep Me a Secret. Why do you think these types of books are so popular?
Well, because it's the primary way any financial professional would want to meet a client. And that's mostly because it's the way any client would want to meet their financial professional. It's the preferred method. Study after study has shown that. One study I saw from Schwab showed that 83% of folks who met their financial advisor did it through a referral or recommendation from someone else they already trust, and 16% did it from other methodologies. And so, it's not that the seminars and other things can't work. Of course they work, and I'm not going to tell anybody to not do them. But I had a call with a guy today who's in our coaching program, and he just got started, and he does a lot of seminars. He's doing well. He's growing, but they're very, they're risky. It's a lot of money up front. It's a lot of planning. And here's what he found. He found that most of his his seminars produce B clients, B plus clients. It's decent, but almost all his A clients came from referrals and introductions. So he's doubling down, and it's the easiest. It's the path of least resistance. It's the way we get into their world most comfortably.
So that was probably the easiest softball question to kick off an interview about referrals, and you knocked it out of the park. I got to tell you, the research that I quote usually comes from Oxley, where they found 87% of clients in 2017 came as the result of referrals or introductions. So when an advisor calls me with some concomitant marketing scheme, I say, hang on, let's make sure, A, you're taking care of your clients, and B, are there relationships that you could deepen and look for those referrals? And in your book,
right,
Beyond Referrals, you don't abandon the how to get referral process, but you go further than just the referrals. Tell us about that.
Yeah, because, see, the referral is not the end game. The referral is a means to the end. And, it's from my business standpoint, it's an implied benefit. It's not the actual benefit. The actual benefit, of course, is the new client. And we know that usually better clients come from referrals. Insurance sales, persistency rate is higher. Everything is better, right, when they come from referrals. And referrals beget referrals. People come into a practice through referrals are more likely to do it. So, but that's not the end game. The end game is in new clients. So what I did in Beyond Referrals is I wanted to take a little further to the end game. So the first section covers my process around how to get more referrals and how to be more referable, which is pretty important. Especially if you're going to be proactive and how to be proactive in a way that isn't pushy and begging. But then the second section is emphasizing turning in this willingness of our client to talk to other people about us into actual introductions. How to teach our clients that it's great to talk about us to others, but word of mouth in most cases isn't worth a hill of beans, right? That we need to get connected. Well, for lots of reasons, right? People put off doing the proper financial work. maybe they think they got all their bases covered with who they're working with, and the truth is they probably don't. And every time I give a speech or workshop and I say to the room, have you ever met a prospect that you couldn't help in some way, right? That there wasn't some missing piece of their plan, and they all know they can help. So, it's about making sure that we get connected with these people. And that can be an email introduction. It could be in person, breaking bread together. It could be social event marketing. And then the next step, of course, is setting the appointment. And one of the biggest mistakes I've seen advisors make is they get a referral and even an introduction, but then they kind of take this template standard method, like they're calling a lead or something, and they're not using the full value of the relationship there to make sure that they reach out to these prospects in a way that's going to ensure you get appointment, or at least increase the chances. And so some appointment setting skills and language and such. And then ultimately, if it's a mutual fit, you want to convert the new prospect into a client. So some quote unquote sales skills. I know in the financial service world, quite often they don't like to think of themselves as salespeople. Say, okay, influence skills, conversion skills, whatever you want to call it. But we want to make sure that they actually do become a client. So that's why I call it beyond referrals. It's referrals aren't enough. We've got to get connected, and then we have to convert them into a new client.
Oh, that's funny. Sales are sales, even if you call them influence, right?
Whatever, yeah. It's not a dirty word. Just some people think it is.
That's right. So you do a lot of work and research on these topics, and you actually wanted to give something away to listeners. Before we move forward, tell them a little bit about what they could receive.
Sure. First of all, it's free. It's no come on or anything, and we call this report the 5 worst kept secrets to multiplying your best clients. And a lot of people, a lot of marketers use the word secrets, the 5 secrets, and then you read the thing that they wrote and go, well, those aren't secrets. I know about those. Now, maybe you're not doing them, but they're not secrets, right? So, but the word secrets is very attractive. People like to see what the secrets are, right? So it's kind of having a little fun, and I'm a playful kind of guy. And so, and if you get this, by the way, there's a picture of a guy on the front. It's not me. That's not what I look like. He's probably better looking than me. But so it's how to multiply your best clients. And the URL to go get it is multiplyourbestclients.com. multiplyourbestclients.com. I mean, and who doesn't want to multiply your best clients? And that's one of the things we've been doing lately is we're not just focusing on quantity of referrals and introductions and clients. We're focusing on quality, in whatever quality means to you. Everybody's got a different definition of that, but we want to get what I'm now calling right fit clients. This guy I was talking to this morning called them best fit clients. That's what we want, right? And so these are 5 strategies you want to make sure you're implementing in a good way to multiply those ideal best fit clients.
Excellent. And Bill, you always want to put somebody better looking than yourself on the cover of your book. It just increases sales.
Yeah, it's true. But you have to also be careful in this day and age of transparency and representing yourself fairly.
Yeah.
If I had a picture, anyway, let's keep going. We don't have to belabor the point.
So, Bill,
yes,
my
sir.
longtime listeners, anybody who's read my books know that I think everything comes down to a system. I create systems for my systems, and you are no different. In your book, you lay out the Perpetual revenue system. Tell us about it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. It's really quite simple, but quite often the most powerful and effective things are simple. And it goes like this. It's 3 words, really, that I want everybody to remember. The first one is engagement. The research shows that there's a low correlation between satisfied clients and the giving of referrals. In one study, only 20% of satisfied clients gave referrals in a 12-month period. These are financial advisory clients. And so there's a higher level. The higher level is the engaged client. And this is research done by Julie Littlechild out of Toronto. And so in that study, 98% of engaged clients gave referrals. All right, so who gives referrals? Who makes introductions? Engaged clients. Well, what's an engaged client? Well, it's someone who you've connected with on your value. They like the questions you ask. They like the things you teach. They like your responsive service, all the different various ways you bring value. You connect there. And then they like who you are. You create a personal connection with yourself, with other people in your office. And everybody's doing that already, but you want to just really heighten that. And every time you reach out to people, you want to think in terms of engagement. So if we create engaged clients, then, and by the way, social event marketing, client appreciation events, one of the best ways to do that. If we create engaged clients, now it's time to leverage that. So there are two ways to leverage. One is to promote referrals. Sometimes I call it plant referral seeds. Different things you can say early and often. One classic one I've been teaching for 25 years, title of one of my books, Don't Keep Me a Secret. Most people love that because there's a little smile on the end. It's, there's no pressure there. It's a little bit fun. I know some hoity-toity advisors think it's tacky, but that's fine. That's why we got other ways to do it. But it's the promoting. Never too busy to see if I can help or be a resource for other people you care about. Now, that's not asking for referrals. That's promoting. And a lot of people, unfortunately, stop there. The other way to be proactive, of course, is to ask. And, we can get into that a little bit. But when we ask and we have highly engaged clients, then we get, and then we want to turn those new potential referrals into actual introductions. Get connected. How would you like to introduce me to George? Right. My guess is Laura would like to hear from you before she hears from me. Let's talk about what that looks like. Right. So we're trying to create a comfortable and effective introduction. So what happens if you do that, and you get better and better at it, then you get introduced to this new prospect, and then you create engagement and leverage and connection, and then leverage, engagement, leverage, connection, engagement, and it just continues perpetually. You really can create a perpetual flow of right fit clients if you just follow those words: engagement, leverage, and connection.
Excellent. So let's get granular with this. So when it comes to referrals, what does it take to actually get the referrals and become, as you call it, more referable on an actionable level today?
Okay, a few things. So think of the client journey in three stages. The first one is the prospect journey, the prospect experience, how we're creating engagement with them early. And one of the best ways to create engagement with a new prospect is to talk about your client-focused why. There's a lot of, talk about why you do what you do and all that. This is a very specific client-focused, essentially why you believe in the value. And it goes like this. That's a little bit about, George, a little bit about what we do and how we do it. I'd like to shift gears for a second and tell you a little bit about why I do this, why I believe in this, the value, what's kept me going after all these years. And it's usually a story, right? It's something that happened to you or family or even a client early on in your career. And you can have more than one why. But that's one great way, very tactical way to connect make that human connection with a prospect. The next step is the new client experience, often called the onboarding experience. How do we onboard them into our practice? How do we continue to connect with a little value? How do we continue to connect with their business friendship? Could be inviting them to one of our events, or maybe even taking them to lunch to break bread after they sign the paperwork. Mail a book that you wrote, a book related to finance. Brian Sweet, a very successful advisor in Minnesota, has what he calls the 90-day dazzle. And he doesn't tell his clients, the new clients, that he's going to dazzle them for 90 days, but he and his staff dazzle them for 90 days. And that's the onboarding process. And then the ongoing client experience. And I'll tell you the most important thing that I've been teaching for 25 years, very tactical, very specific, is what I call the value discussion. You can call it the communication review, lots of ways to call it, but think of it this way. Everybody understands the concept of working in your business and working on your business, right? Listening to this podcast is working on your business. You're getting maybe a couple new ideas that you can serve your clients better, build your business, right? Well, I think the same needs to be true for our relationships with our clients. Most of the time, we're working in the relationship with our clients. We're doing what we need to do with them. But every now and then we want to take that time out and work on the relationship, and we want to check in, and we want to say, let's put the market aside for a minute. Let's put the economy aside for a minute. Let's talk about something we can control, which is our communication, our overall working relationship. Anything not working I should be aware of, and then you move on to what is working. And most of the time everything's fine, but every now and then you ferret out a little something that needs to just come up and out and get the emotional charge off of it, and you move on. And this creates engagement. This one conversation. I've seen so many advisors over the quarter century I've been doing this. That sounds long, isn't it? A quarter century. Is this check-in? And I was coaching a guy, still am, Rod Gibbings, up in British Columbia. And the first thing I had him do in the first 3 weeks was just go out and check in with your clients more. How are they doing? How's the communication? How's the relationship? What are they liking? And he realized he was sitting on this gold mine of opportunity. They were saying, "Oh, Rod, we love you. Da, da, da. How do we introduce you to others? Do you have some tool we could send to people?" And one lady said to him, he says, "Rod, between your events and the way you stay in touch, I feel like we're part of a club." And I said, "Rod, did you tell her that the club needs more members?" Right. And so, but this value discussion, it is the beginning part, the jumping off part for a good, solid request for introduction. We check in first. We make sure we're referable in the eyes of this prospect, or usually a client, before we go on to the next step. So there's a few granular things for you.
One of the terms from your book that stood out to me is the term forgotten gold. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it is. The reason I call it forgotten gold is because everybody knows the gold of referrals and introductions, but they don't have processes in place. Maybe they didn't like the way they were taught early in their career. All kinds of reasons why people don't do this. We could have a whole podcast on the psychology of this, but and sometimes, I'm in front of a group. I always say, I blank to get referrals. Fill in the blank, right? And people yell out, "I love to get referrals," and the joker yells out, "I beg to get referrals," and then sometimes somebody else, "I forget." And when someone forgets about this, it just means they don't feel confident. They don't have a process in place they can trust that feels right for them, and so it's forgotten on a lot of levels. And what we need to do is make sure we find some ways to remind us to not forget and to do this. And for a lot of advisors, it means building a culture within their practice, staff and the role that staff plays in this, et cetera. And then ultimately building a culture of introductions with everybody, with their entire book of business, that this is the way of the world. This is the way of my world, meeting people through other people. And, this referral, this introduction is the warm way we get into their lives.
So, Bill, whether you're looking at the Schwab research or the Oxley research, they all point towards the fact that most advisors that are onboarding new, valuable clients are doing it through referrals or introductions. So why aren't more professionals focused and, quite frankly, proficient at getting referrals?
Well, quite often sometimes it's a mistaken assumption. Sometimes, again, they haven't been taught a process that feels comfortable, they can trust. So just for an example, the conversation I was having with this gentleman this morning, he gets unsolicited referrals. He's in a wirehouse. He brings in, last year he did 27 new households, high-level households in a year. That's really high for a wirehouse, by the way. I mean, it's humongously high for those folks. And so he gets unsolicited referrals, and I also learned that he's doing some client events and stuff, and that's creating some there, and he's doing a lot of seminars, right? And now he wants to double down. He wants to have a process in place. So one of the mistaken assumptions I see is that if I just serve the heck out of my clients, if I just create a stellar experience for my clients, they will send referrals my way. And that's half true. They will. And you should serve the heck out of your clients. But it's not always enough, and it's not always the right people, right? It's not always the people that will take you in the direction you want your business to go and the work you like to do for clients. So we usually have to have an element of being appropriately proactive. And whether that's inviting clients to bring guests to an event or social or educational, whether it's just straight out asking for introductions to people you know that they know. We've got to have that proactive process in there, and that's often the missing piece. I've had folks come to me that are successful, and they feel guilty about this, right? They're doing well, but they feel guilty, right? Because they just know that there's low-hanging fruit there. They know if they could just be a little bit more proactive, and it's true. There is a lot of low-hanging fruit there, generally speaking.
All right, we're about to run out of time, but I want to talk about one last point that I found interesting from your book,
Sure.
and it's the idea of brainstorm selling. Tell us about that.
Well, the idea of brainstorm selling, in my methodology of teaching referrals, I talk about getting permission to brainstorm, to talk about who else we know, who we can think about, right? Who should know about the important work we do. And by the word brainstorm, what we mean is no pressure, right? If you're doing a brainstorming exercise, you're throwing out ideas. You're not evaluating or judging them too quickly. You just want to get them all out on the whiteboard or whatever. And so that's the way I like to look at the sales process, moving people to, quote unquote, converting them into a client process. It's a no pressure, transparent. We're just brainstorming. We're just trying to figure out what is the right fit. Right? It's a mutual fit. We've got to be right for them. They got to be right for us. And so, when you kind of take the pressure off of converting them into a client and just trying to figure out what is the right thing for them, what do they want, what do they need, what problem do they want to solve, what problems do they have they don't know they have that they should solve. Right? When you just take it from that perspective, helping people make an educated decision, then it really is just kind of like a brainstorming. We're talking, we're throwing out ideas. How you feel about this, and what's your reaction to that, and then actually it becomes very, very easy, and people open up. So that's kind of what I mean by brainstorm selling. It's just no pressure, just collaborative. It's a collaborative effort to come to the right decision.
Excellent. Bill, time is so valuable, and we really appreciate you sharing some of your time with us here today. How could listeners find out more about you and your services?
Sure, I appreciate that. Well, first of all, a reminder, multiplyourbestclients.com to get that report of the 5 worst-kept secrets to multiply your best clients. And then our website is referralcoach.com, referralcoach.com. Lays everything out there, lots of free stuff. Sign up for our newsletter, and then we have a coaching program. We have an online academy, and you can just check it out and shoot me an email. We can chat, see what's right for you.
Excellent, Bill. Thanks so much for your time.
You bet, Jay. It's a pleasure being with you.